This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
I'll tell everybody this. Your advice for entry-level investors is phenomenal. Don't change a thing about that. That works 100% for the entry-level, the small investor. Your advice for those people is the best I've seen out there. I mean, just don't change anything about it. You're spot on with your listeners.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Show with Jason Hartman. You're about to learn a new slant on investing, some exciting techniques, and fresh new approaches to the world's most historically proven asset class that will enable you to create more wealth and freedom than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine self-made multimillionaire who's actually been there and done it. He's a successful investor, lender, developer, and entrepreneur who's owned properties in 11 states, had hundreds of tenants, and been involved in thousands of real estate transactions. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to your financial independence day. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Well, Happy New Year and welcome to episode 1942. And I want to wish all of our listeners, followers, clients, friends, and enemies a very happy new year, because this is going to be an interesting year. The last one was, I don't know, gosh, how do you describe last year? You'd have to kind of put it into two parts. It was almost like two separate years. The way the market acted, the way the economy acted was very different in the first half of the year than it was in the last half of the year. And this is the year that I think we will definitely see an officially declared recession. Yes, there will be an official recession this year. So far, it's been kind of an unofficial one. But, it's weird because there are a lot of things that say this isn't a recession. But it reminds me of the old Ronald Reagan quote, a recession is when your neighbor loses his job. A depression is when you lose your job, right? So, the employment market is really strong. And I mean, there have been some job losses, but compared to what? I mean, overall, those are more a result of overfunded tech companies that really never should have been as big as they were, because we've talked about it many, many times. Real businesses make a profit. Oh, imagine that. Real businesses are built on fundamentals, but sadly, the way capital is raised in our society is so dysfunctional that the wrong winners win and the wrong losers lose. It's just not right. It's just a very messed up kind of system we have. But look, I won't go down that rabbit hole. One of the things I have decided to do with this show in the new year is cover some more specific, roll up your sleeves, tactical things, how-to things. I really do like talking about the macro. I like talking about the philosophical. I like talking about the broad. I like talking about the mega trends. Personally, that's what I'm into. However, I think, and I have not heard this feedback from you, but it's just my own impression, that some of our listeners, and we appreciate you so much, so we want to give you the things that at least we think you want. But hey, look, if you're watching this on video platform, comment below. If you're listening to it on the podcast, and tell us what you want. But if you're listening on the podcast, just go to jasonhartman.com/ask and tell us what you want. We love your feedback. We read all of your feedback, and we really appreciate it. This is, to an extent, it's your show. It's your show. So we can, I've got lots of very practical, tactical, granular experience that I'd like to share with you. And we're going to do more of that this year. Now, we will cover the broad stuff too, but we are definitely going to make it a point to cover how-to, tactical, this is what you do in this situation type of stuff. And we do cover more of that in our Empowered Investor Pro group, of course. And if you are not a member, please check that out. We'd love to have you join Empowered Investor Pro. But guess what? We've got good news. And this is a big announcement. We've got a little freebie for you. And it's tomorrow night. Yes, the first Tuesday of the year, okay, which is tomorrow, we have got a freebie session where we're doing kind of a hybrid. Our pro members will be meeting and we'll be doing our thing. And then we are opening this meeting up to all of you, to the public, because we have a special guest, Tom Wheelwright, rich dad, tax advisor, CPA, a guy with really some of the most unique tax strategies ever, to talk about how to save taxes in the new year. And when I talk about saving taxes, I'm not talking about it in some minor way. This is big stuff. Like, we're talking about a lot of money. Tomorrow night, we are going to talk about the way you can essentially become a business partner with the government. And this is not just with the US government, it's with many governments around the world, because a lot of them have mirrored many things in the US system, for better or worse. Actually, I think our tax system in the US is fairly good. Now, look, I would rather see just a flat tax, but considering that we don't have that, we're not going to have that, it's probably never going to happen. You can learn how to really win the game on taxes. And you can learn how to, instead of being the government's sort of slave, or I'll put it a little better, maybe customer or vendor, right? That's the way most people interact with the tax system. This is a way you can become the government's business partner and really, really save money on taxes. So look, that's tomorrow night. This is a totally free session. Go to empoweredinvestor.com/tax. That's empoweredinvestor.com/tax, and join all of us with Tom Wheelwright. And by the way, if you're listening to this after the fact, we are going to put the recording up there so you can watch the recording at empoweredinvestor.com/tax. You just register, you'll get the recording link. So we'll get that set up for you shortly after the meeting. empoweredinvestor.com/tax. Join us. That's 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, free session with Tom Wheelwright to talk about taxes. And this is interactive, by the way. You can ask questions, you can get answers, and interact directly with Tom. So join us, empoweredinvestor.com/tax. Okay, this is going to be a pretty short episode, but I do want to talk just for a moment about that macro picture, about housing inventory, because it is going to be very telling in just a couple of weeks. By the time we have Empowered Investor live, we're going to be able to present a really good outlook on the market for the new year for you. But it is difficult to do that during the holiday season because everything is so skewed with inventory numbers, with the holidays, et cetera, et cetera. And you always kind of got to get into the new year a little bit to sort of catch the vibe. Yeah, very scientific term, I know, of the new year. But it's really true. You know, look, the economy, the marketplace, the real estate market, any marketplace is shaped by what? It's shaped by people's emotions. They go out into the world, they act on their emotions, they share their emotions with others. If you think people are logical, think again, because we are all emotional creatures, and that obviously influences the market. All of us actors going out there and playing in the marketplace. And so we've got to kind of sense what is going to happen this year. And a lot of that tone is set in the beginning of the year. So we're going to roll into it and see how it goes, of course, and report back to you on that. But just in terms of actual analytical numbers, of course, we report on that pretty much once a week on the show here. But I wanted to share this chart. This is a little longer history going back to 1999. If you're watching on video, you can see this chart. It's really quite well done, I think. Now, remember, this is NAR inventory, and this includes pending sales and contingent sales. Again, I don't like using the NAR stats that much because it includes those things, but it is what it is. And you can kind of see how short of housing inventory we are, how low the inventory is, because you see going into the Great Recession, you saw inventory sharply rise in 2005 and then on into 2006 and 7. And it was just kind of crazy high there, right? Easily 3 to 4 times higher what it is now. And remember, segment by price, and this inventory looks even more radical and more undersupplied compared to what it has been in the past. There is a massive housing shortage in linear market entry-level housing. Do not be fooled by anybody. Massive housing shortage in the market where we invest, in those linear market rental properties. There's just no question about it. Okay. So regardless of what you see out there, I know there's a lot of misleading data. Okay. It's just totally misleading, but it is what it is. So then we saw inventory sharply decline around 2011. We kind of bumped along through the 2010s. And again, we did not see that inventory increase at the start of the pandemic. As usual, people didn't want to put their houses on the market. They didn't want to have a contagion spread, and everything was kind of started to be locked down anyway. So what's the difference, right? So the market acted very abnormally for that period for a couple of years during the time we were really more impacted by COVID. And now you see inventory even lower. So, folks, if you're looking for a big housing crash, look, we're going to have a recession. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to have a legitimate recession in the economy. But will that be a housing recession? Not even close. There's just no sign of it yet. We will definitely see how it goes, but remember, you've got 25% of the country with mortgages under 3%, 65% of the country with mortgages under 4%, and 40% of all houses in the country free and clear, no mortgage whatsoever. You got to have distressed sellers if you want to have a market crash. So we'll see what happens. All right, join us for Empowered Investor Live. We've got all these fantastic speakers: Ken McElroy, Sharon Lechter, Rudyard Lynch, Tom Wheelwright, who's our guest tomorrow night for that free session. And that's a free Zoom meeting, by the way. George Gammon, Joe Brown, Heresy Financial. It's just plus a whole bunch of other speakers. And join us for that. Go to jasonhartman.com. It's right at the top of the page. The event is almost sold out. It looks like for sure it's going to sell out here. So get your tickets ASAP and join us for Empowered Investor Live. And remember, there is an air guitar contest, so I hope you're practicing. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our events are not only super educational, they are also a lot of fun. A lot of people say they're the funnest thing they did all year. So get your tickets for that. Go to jasonhartman.com, and we will look forward to seeing you in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.